Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Beautiful, beautiful people. Time to make today a great day. You know, whatever, how you woke up. If you woke up like grouchy, grumpy, like tired, whatever it is, like you make today happen. You make the best of whatever, obstacles or whatever is pushing you in your way. Like, we gotta go get it. You gotta be hungry. You gotta be like ready to tackle on whatever today's gonna bring you. You know what? Because at the end of the day, God's got your back. I got your back, and we're gonna make things happen today. All right. So basically, what I want to get into with you guys today is like talking about like overcoming like your fears and like getting past those hurdles and getting past those like things that as good as a person you might be, as like being like a very positive or like just overall general like kind and warm-hearted person, like everyone gets thrown their fair share of like battles. And what I want to talk to you guys about is like how you're gonna overcome those battles, how you're gonna come out victorious in those battles, how you're gonna win and like continue to push forward in those battles and afterwards, and going forward, so on and so forth, with the next battles that you're gonna face. Because don't get me wrong here, like life is never-ending battles, and like I always used to have this saying in the back of my head, like God gives the hardest battles to his strongest warriors. So I look at myself as one of those strong warriors because of what I overcame, what I dealt with, how my cards were dealt in my life. And for me, being able to flip that and like utilizing it to better myself, utilizing it to, push myself forward and continue to push myself forward. So that's what we're going to get in today. I started my day already. I brushed my teeth, woke up, did my, little daily routine. So I'm going to get my breakfast ready, get some food in my stomach, and then we're going to get into this. See you guys in a bit. Alright, so we back. So we were talking about fighting your fears, right? So talking about basically like, whatever it is that you've had in your life that you've, had to come accustomed to changing, had to come accustomed to, learning, like, and digging yourself out of that pit, right? So a little bit of my way of like describing this, or like giving you insight to what my fears were, like what my fears were when I was younger, or my fears are now. Going back to touch base with you guys, like on what happened with me when I was a kid, right? So I was living with fear every single day. The fear of whether or not I'm gonna wake up the next day and be alive, whether or not, I'm gonna be able to survive my day because of what I was going through with my mom. Like, I had that fear in the back of my head every single day. Like, it was so deep. It was so like it was scary. It was something that I would cry about, or I would get so emotional about, because I didn't know what the heck was gonna happen. So I had to conquer that fear. I had to, no matter what, like the abuse, the mental, the physical, whatever it was, like I would wake up, get ready, go to school, and put my game face on, and realize, like, what, I gotta do what I gotta do. I gotta learn in school. I gotta, socialize. I gotta meet people. I gotta, come out of my shell and break that little bit of shell that I had. And it was then where that fear increased, when I would know I have to go home and see my mom again. I would have to go home and go back to that abuse, and go home and go back to that feeling of like, damn, like, what, I'm gonna get hit again, or damn, I'm like, I don't know what's gonna happen again, and I'm scared. Like, and past a certain age, like when I started going into my teenage years, I was like, what, nah, I don't care if she hits me, I don't care whatever she does to me, like I'm gonna fight. I'm gonna be this warrior, and I'm gonna like just do what I gotta do, and take those hits, and take that pain, whatever I gotta do, and utilize that pain to my advantage, utilize that pain to push harder, and like kill it in whatever I want to do. So I would go in school and kick ass in school. She didn't care about my grades. Like, I would be acing classes and stuff like that, and I would go show her and act like, and to see if she would be proud. She didn't give two And you know what? At the end of the day, I didn't let that bother me. I didn't let that get to me. I utilized that as my fuel. I utilized that to like amp me up, to get ready, to like be like, you know what? I'm doing this for myself. I'm doing this for me. And that's what I've been doing ever since, I was a kid. I've been having that mindset, that focus, like on just doing everything for me and doing everything to make myself happy and to make me proud, because that's what truly matters. It doesn't matter about anybody else. It doesn't matter about like if those fears that you do have, and you feel like that you have to depend on certain people or depend on like the outcome of the situation, the outcome of how things would end up being. Like, no, like you face those fears, you face those people who give you those fears, and you just tackle it straight on with all you got. And that's what I've been doing, and I'm going to continue doing that, and I want you guys to continue doing that. So that's part of what I want to touch base with on you guys about this whole fear topic. So yeah, I'm going to finish up some laundry. I'm doing a little bit of things around the house, and I'm going to get into story time with you guys. I want to do this little segment. I want to start doing this thing that I want to get into kind of like a time in my life, or like a moment that I had, an experience, and just share that with you guys. So I'm gonna do that today, and next time when we see each other, story time's gonna commence. Catch you guys in a bit. Peace. Alright guys, we're back. We're gonna get into this. So I told you it was story time, so that means we're gonna talk and we're gonna get into this story. Okay. So how we're gonna start this off is I'm going to talk to you guys about a specific time that I had in my childhood or my life, and that goes back to 4th grade. All right, and this is off the topic of fears. So in 4th grade, I used to go to school, and I would wear obviously like the same all the time. I used to wear raggedy clothes, beat up pants, high waters, if that's the slang back then. They used to make fun of me about wearing high waters. So I used to go to school and kids used to pick on me. Also, when I used to go to school, and I would have bumps, scratches, scars, bruises, and one occasion I went to school with a black eye. And my 4th grade teacher, Mr. Daraja, Mr. Gramet, whatever his name was at the time, he told me, and he asked me, pulled me aside, like, what happened? Like, why do you have a black eye? And I think he caught on to the fact that I was being abused at home, and he questioned me, and I lied, and I told him it was my brother. So I used to sit there and go to school and have all these bruises on my body, and I would lie and say that my brother's beating me up at home. And my brother didn't lay his hand on me. It was obviously it was my mother, and I kept on telling him that, and he didn't believe me, so he sent me to the nurse's office, sent me to the principal's office. Obviously, I didn't feel comfortable saying that was my mom, because I would be threatened at home, saying like if I ever said anything that she'd kill me, and stuff like that. So obviously, I had that fear of not opening my mouth. I had that fear of not saying anything, and like being quiet and being like trapped and feeling afraid to say anything at all. So I was maybe 7 or 8 years old, 9 years old, and then obviously the nurse obviously knew too that, look, this is not something that your brother could do to you at that young age. My brother was a year older than me at the time. So they're like, look, what's going on at home? Do you want us to send CPS to the house? Like, and I still not saying anything. I said, no, it's me and my brother fight, blah blah blah, just being in denial and being like protective even when I shouldn't be of my mother. And that's just because I have a heart, and I also didn't want to know what the heck was going to happen to me and was going to kill me when I got home. So they obviously went behind and doing their job as they should, and they actually did call CPS, and CPS came to the house. And the show that my mom put on for those people is crazy. She never ever used kind words to me, called me sweetie, honey, I love you, this is that, never, not once. And when the CPS people came, it's like I saw a whole different version of her. It was just like she put on this crazy act for these people, and it made me like crazy. Like it made me sick to my stomach. Like I really felt like I wanted to vomit, and I felt like I just wanted to run, like get out of there as soon as possible. And I was so trapped, and it sucked. And that fear I had that whole entire time, like it was sickening. And now nowadays I look back at it and I'm like, you know what, I'm happy, not necessarily happy, but I'm glad that those little moments that I did have this crazy gruesome fear in my body, these moments that I felt like there was no way out, there was no winning, there was no like passing that stage and look at where I'm at now. I'm about to be 28 years old. I still have my fair share of things that I'm dealing with, as anyone would, but I made it. I survived. Like, I'm here. I'm proud of the road I've took. I'm proud of the amount of things that I've accomplished, and I'm just gonna continue to progress. And like, I look back and I applaud and I pat myself on the back for that hard journey that I had to go through. Like, for those people and, other people that probably have a similar story, or they're probably even, crazier story than me. Like, if you made it this far and you've overcome that situation or that type of moment in your life where you were able to get yourself out of that struggle, or get yourself out of that cave or that prison, like, I applaud you and I'm proud of you. And like, we're going to continue to progress, and we're going to continue to move forward in our lives, and utilize those hardships and utilize those difficult times that we had in our life, and we use that as our strength. We use that as our backbone. We use that as our like definition of who we become and who we are. Like, and love it about you, love it about, like, love that journey, and more or less, like, I always love who you are, whether that was your past self, whether that's your new self, because you learn something from each of those moments that you did carry. Like, my 8-year-old self, like, I was a young kid. I did goofy little things here and there, and I was going through the worst with my mom, but I loved that kid that I was. I loved that I was even getting my ass beat all the time, and like going through that pain and all that hate and that love, like there was no love there, like not being loved, like, and the fact that I become this person, like so loving, so caring, so kind, so generous, like it makes me know that, like, no matter what cards you were dealt, or no matter like what position or like what battle you have in your life, you don't have to let that battle like take away who you truly are, or you don't have to let that battle overpower you into where it's like controlling who the person you want to be. Like, I did not let what happened with my mom, define the man I wanted to become, or define the person I knew I was. Like, I wasn't going to lead myself to following her footsteps. I wasn't going to lead myself to becoming who she was. I wasn't going to lead myself to becoming an abuser, or to become an abusee of alcohols or drugs or weapons, or using violence or anything like that. Like, I didn't want to lead that. I didn't want to follow that path. I didn't want to take what she was doing to me and do it to other people. Like, I had an instance also in 4th grade where I would go to school and I was so angry at what was happening to me, and so angry about, things that my mom was putting me through, that I did have a stage where I was being a little bit of a bully, and I picked on kids and hit them and beat them up, because I was obviously reflecting what my mom was doing to me, which I feel so bad for. And I apologize to those kids I ever bullied. I apologize to all those kids that I maybe hurt, because that was never my intention. And after that, I never did it again. I apologized to them. I fully, was truthfully sorry. And I didn't mean for any of that to happen. And I knew it from that moment. Like, I didn't want to ever do that again, and nor was I ever going to do that again. And I cut that right out. And that's what I till this day, I don't allow myself to even mirror the image of who she was, and nor will I ever. And I pray, and I wait for the moment that I do have kids, and that beautiful moment that I do get to, raise kids of my own. And I know how much of a beautiful parent I will be to those children. I know that learning from my past, and learning from my mother's mistakes, and like learning from my childhood, that I would never put them in that position of feeling unloved, or feeling unwanted, or feeling like they are nothing in this world. Like, I truthfully, I wait that day to be a loving parent to them. I wait that day to like give them everything that I never had. And that's going to be something so special. And I'll never, a day go by in my life that I would never take it for granted. So basically, next week I'm gonna have a special guest on the show. I think I'm gonna have my little brother on, so that's gonna be great. We're gonna get into some topics. I think he wants to talk a little bit more about anxiety, and like how it is about being a teenager and dealing with those type of days and those emotions, and the kind of like overpowering weight of anxiety on your shoulders, at such a young age. So we're going to get into that next week. And again, if you're just tuning into the channel now and you're new, make sure you subscribe to the channel, my friends. Subscribe to the channel, like the videos, comment. If you guys need to talk to me about anything, like I said, comment. I got you. We'll talk. We're going to talk it out. That's why it's called Talks with Tony, but I want to make it Talks with the people too. So we'll talk it out. We'll get into everything you guys want to get into. And yeah, so I'll catch you guys next week on episode 4.